Video.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you.
Nice
So
questions.
yeah, before jumping into the interview, I wanted to thank you a lot. I mean, since I reached out, I was actually very surprised to get almost immediate feedback. And since then, like, conversation with you and your studio has been only very smooth. Obviously, very picky, but that's the whole point of being an artist. But yeah, thank you very much for this collaboration. It has been obviously amazing working with you, and we are very excited about this coming up.
I'm excited too. I mean, one reason I responded so quickly is, first of all, I like what you do, and secondly, I like the tradition of neon elements in contemporary art. There was an artist named Keith Saunier who worked a lot with neon, whose work I like very much, and there are others. And also, it seemed interesting to translate day-glow color into neon color.
Thank you. So yeah, I mean, obviously we are not here to make your whole biography, but just tell us what drew you to art. How this happened? Like, how did you become such a big artist? Like,
well, I think my first work became widely known in about 1985, and I'm a geometric abstract painter, but the paintings really aren't abstract. These squares in the center are called cells, and I'm interested in the way that they're connected to the environment. So these are called conduits, and most of the paintings are about how these cells and also prisons are connected to the world. And that's a basic nature of the vocabulary of the work.
so you've only been working with these cells the whole time, and what was the tipping point when it became actually, because you always see like now people can become famous overnight, but back in the 80s, how did you actually make your name out of those cells or out of those very specific art?
Well, you know, in the early 80s, the most popular paintings in the art world were Neo-Expressionism. And there was people like Jean-Michel Basquiat and Julian Schnabel. And my work was completely different. It was abstract, it was geometric, more hard edge. And around 1985, Jeff Koons and Richard Prince and myself began showing at this artist-run gallery, International with Monument, in the East Village in New York, and it all started then.
All right. We actually just did a collab with Jeff Koons as well with the Broad, like the balloon, the dog balloon.
Oh, super.
Yeah, it was very cool. And obviously we can't, since it has been the conversation around colors, whole collaboration, so the color you use are very unique, like fluorescent color. Can you tell us a bit more about your choices and why do you choose those specific colors in your work?
Well, we're going back 40 years before iPhones and even before LED screens, but I felt that in the world we live in, traditional artist paint wasn't bright enough, that we live in a world of intense color. I mean, if you look at your iPhone, if you look at your computer screen or some huge LED screen, it's super, super saturated. Yeah. And I felt that fluorescent day-glow color was a way to address that.
Nice. What's your, I mean, we look around and we see so many different, but is there one that you cherish or one you prefer in terms of one color?
No, I'm an equal opportunity color person. I mean, it's all about how the colors interact. Mixing warm with cool, light with dark,
nice.
That kind of thing.
Just before you mentioned and you say, I hope people will understand the way I explain my art, which is sometimes you describe as a mapping system. Do you think your painting are about emotion or theory?
Well, you know, I don't separate the two. I mean, I think the things you think about that you could call theory are also tied into your emotions, how you see the world. And I certainly feel that each one of my paintings has a kind of different emotional resonance.
You use home construction material in some of your painting, which is obviously not common. Is there for a specific message, or is it just like for the sake of a look?
No, the idea was that I wanted the geometry to look solid. So I used this fake Rolotex material, which is a kind of stucco that they use to cover sheetrock, to cover the squares to make them look like solid blocks.
Nice. You use Photoshop and digital design way before it became famous and like mainstream. What's your view on those new tools like AI?
Well, they can be very handy. The other day I did an interview where I had ChatGPT do the answers for me.
No way.
Yeah,
And?
did a great job.
Yeah?
Much better than me.
Amazing.
I'll turn it on right now.
I mean, let's get into our collaboration. You already at the beginning of the interview mentioned that what drew you into making a neon sign, but tell us more about those two actually specific design that you decided to do with us. I mean, we know we had some back and forth about like printed, not printed. Why did you choose those two specific designs?
Well, I wanted to do two pieces that were typical of the compositions of my work, so I kept it simple. And the palette of color that you have really worked for me. So in this case, I wanted to use 3 cool colors and one warm pink. And the way this blue, blue-green, and green work together really appealed to me. And the inside is also a kind of pink. You don't really see it when the blue light goes on, but if you turn it off, you'll see the pink in the middle. And the other one, the lines are much closer. And I was really interested in how the colors that were close together would interact. Like green is the opposite of red, so were they going to vibrate together? And then we have this purple, which is much darker, so then that's dark and that's lighter.
Yeah.
So I really...
The clash of colors, basically.
Yeah, and only if they're close together can you get that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like to think that the two pieces are very different.
Yeah, 100%. Which one is your favorite?
If one was my favorite, I wouldn't have done the other one.
Exactly. I mean, we do collabs like that, and we created Yellowpop because we believe that everyone should have access to art.
I agree.
And sometimes we feel like people like you, which is like very fine art, is not as accessible to people. So having the opportunity to introduce your art to a bigger audience, do you also see that collaboration could bring you a different audience and people discover you from a different angle?
Yeah, I mean, that is really important to me. I don't think art should be hard to understand. I'd like to think my work is visually appealing. I like making editions because people can't afford them. And also working with new technologies. I mean, it's nice to paint every day, but being able to work with this LED neon, which is a relatively new material, is exciting. Also, I think it's a new era with making editions. There's a new generation like yourself, and people are putting the work online on Instagram to create an audience, and that's been really exciting.
What's your usage of social media right now? Do you use it for like more like finding inspiration or promoting yourself? What's your approach?
It's a newsletter. I put up paintings I've done,
okay,
installations, shows I'm going to have. I do have another Peter Halley account, though, that I started at least 10 years ago, where I began to post photographs from Google Earth, looking down on the Earth.
Nice.
And some of the forms you see in mountains and like Greenland and the Antarctic are really exciting.
I mean, you've mentioned that you kind of grew at the same time as Jean-Michel Basquiat, Keith Haring, which were actually famous, and then do you still have people? I know you also work a lot on, you had a magazine, you interview a lot of people. Do you still have like people that inspire you today as artists?
Yeah, I was head of the graduate painting program at Yale for 10 years, and I still follow a lot of my students' work, and so many of them are doing interesting things like Tala Madani, who's a painter who lives in LA, is one example, or a woman named Mary Reed Kelly who does these amazing videos. So honestly, a lot of the work that inspires me or gets me excited is from my former students who are also friends.
Amazing. You also mentioned that sci-fi was kind of like an influence, like in your work. Is there any movie or book that actually like inspire you more than others?
Well, yeah, I guess kind of the usual Neuromancer by Gibson and what are some of the others? I can't remember any names right now, but it mostly was early 80s sci-fi, and William Gibson in particular.
And is there a link with your work and sci-fi?
Well, I think these look very sci-fi.
That's true.
The idea of art made of light.
Spaceship, kind of?
Yeah, well, very, not exactly 2001, but somewhere between 2001 and Barbarella.
I mean, when I've been introduced to art the first time was probably like 10 years ago, and when obviously it looked like prison, and I was like, maybe there is something around it, like, is there like in your work something that resonates with the prison world, or?
Yeah, well, not prisons where people are incarcerated, but the idea of the prison or the cell, it's the idea that if you're in your car or if you're in front of your computer screen or if you're looking at your iPhone, it's a kind of confinement. So I decided to paint prisons as a kind of, to create an icon for the way we're physically separated from each other by digital media.
Okay, so you're pretty like, you feel like it's has a bad impact on the world, like those social media and those phones and...
Well, good and bad, but I mean, the thing that I'm concerned about is that, you know, people live in suburbs, they stay in their cars, they don't mix and mingle in person. And if everything goes through electronic media, you lose a lot.
Makes sense. I mean, we're in New York, obviously in your studio, which we're gonna look after, but looks amazing. So now, what you recommend, like 3 places in New York we should go, restaurant, art gallery, whatever it is. We are from Miami, obviously, I mean, from front, but now we're visiting. What do you recommend we should go check out?
Well, I've just started going to a restaurant that's not new called Morandi, named after the artist in the West Village. And it's one of the restaurants from Keith McNally, who's this legendary restaurant guy. He started with the Odeon and a bunch of restaurants that really changed New York nightlife. And every time you go into one of his restaurants, it's like a new environment. And so that's my latest restaurant.
Amazing. So what's next? I mean, we know you have a show coming up in London.
Yep.
What's next for you? Like, what's your?
It's Gallery Massimo De Carlo. He's from Milan, but has a big gallery in London. And I really it's really important to me to show in London. First of all, people got to know my work in the UK very early. And secondly, between New York and LA and London are the 3 places where artists go to see shows.
Yeah.
And you have a big audience of artists and people interested in art, not just art collectors. So that's important to me.
Great. To finish, what advice do you have for young artists?
Let me think for just one moment. Well, a couple things. The people who will support your art aren't the people who are around now. You know, if you're 25 or 30 years old, look at people of your own generation, not people who are my age or the present day establishment, because they'll all be gone. And the people who are going to be doing interesting things are your age. And the other thing is you just have to stick with what you want to do and not be affected by what's in style at any particular moment, because it changes all the time. And I guess the last thing is, it sounds like a funny way to put it, but all the artists that I admire, Andy Warhol or Robert Smithson or a lot of others, every artist has their own business plan. So all the artists doing really interesting things never do it the way you're supposed to do it. They always end up inventing it for themselves.
Great. Thank you very much, Peter. It was an absolute pleasure to do this
Thank you,
collaboration. We hope
Jeremy.
it's going to be a great success. And let's have a look at the studio.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
That was
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Nice question.